Hi, my name is April Owens. I am 38 years old and I currently live in Douglasville, Georgia. Um, I'm happy that I am here. I'm happy for all of the experiences, that have exposed me to open up myself here. And I'll tell you a little bit of what I mean by that. But all my life, basically, I've experienced, what we call mental health. And I've seen that some individuals can talk about it, some can't. Some deal with it in so many different ways. And of course, mental health, it seems that it has some type of bad name, attached to it because they look at it, some of us, are people that have some type of issues, as they call it, so a lot of us that go through mental health issues, whatever type it is, because of course there are different type of them, we just don't basically talk about it, we just stay quiet. Um, the reason why is because, we start to feel so indifferent, we feel like nobody else experienced exactly what we experience, from the age that I can remember until when I was like 15 years old. I was raised in the country of Panama in an abandoned building, with my mom and my sister, and then became my little brother after a couple, some years later, you know, and within that time, I got to see a lot of different things, when it comes down to my mom and my dad, my stepdad raised me. So when it comes down to them too, with the fighting and fist fighting and domestic violence, I've seen other couples, um, go through stuff, people that lost their lives, There was a lot of traumatic events, that I experienced and that I've seen that played a part in my teenagers years because some events just kept repeating itself, especially when it came down to my mother, you know. Um, when I was like 17 to like 19 years old, then I started seeing, that I started to become violent towards myself. I used to hit myself when I was very angry, for some reason. I really don't remember. I can't even explain, but, I can tell you some of the events that I was going through, you know, my head and some of the things that I experienced, back then, you know. Then I was married, not that I was married, I got married, early at the age of 19, till now. And, during that time also, I was suicidal, up until I say when I was like 25 maybe, that I think that I decided that I wanted to maybe give my life another chance, maybe 30, um, because I started to see life differently then, I started to see life, I guess, as maybe that there was something worth fighting for, you know, because I started getting exposed to certain businesses, and that kind of took me out of, the mindset of, not being able to talk to anyone or not talking to them because I had to share opportunities and stuff like that, So now I have two teenager kids, and then of course I had to deal with them, and their mental to make sure that they stay stable, because teenagers, I mean, a lot of time they go through their own experiences, My little one, she used to be bullied at school, and talked about and stuff like that, and she experienced it again in middle school, so I had to constantly coach her, and talk to her all the time. And then I have my 18-year-old, that she went through her own indifference through like her 10th grade year, just regular teenager, I guess, stuff. And then, being pregnant at 18, she felt, different. Some, of course, I mean, I can relate because I was also pregnant at her age, So I'm also, about to be a grandmother at an early age, But part of my journey here, you know, I remember being here, at the house and receiving an email, like a massive email from, the Douglas County schools talking about mental health and having meetings, at a local high school, right down the street. So I decided to go ahead and go, just to see what it's about. So I decided to, go ahead and participate, because of course I'm a parent, So I went there, and then there was a lot of therapists and stuff like that, and companies that was, of course, offering help and stuff like that, and they had different speakers talking about mental health issues and things in that nature. And of course, there was, a point to where, it was down to the public to where, they can do questions and answers. And of course, something just kept telling me, April, just get up and say something and share your story, you know. And I shared with them, of course, that I was a person, that was talking about that I was one of those people, that during the ages of, from 21 to 25, I was suicidal. I tried to take my life so many different times. I have a cousin, that she took her life, you know, and that was very hurtful to me because, you know, we never knew. We never knew. I never knew what she was going through. She was one of those people that, just like me, we're happy when we're happy. Of course, we're really around family, friends, individuals, we're on the outside, we're happy, I guess because, of course, it's keeping us distracted from the mental voices or any events from repeating itself in our head, you know. But she was just one of those happy individuals, her son had just recently went to football in college. Her other son had recently graduated. I think he's like a junior or so in high school, or maybe in middle school. He's in middle school, either one. Um, and she had just graduated out from nursing school. I mean, everything was going so great. But what people not seem to realize that, sometimes we go through stuff in our life and people have no idea, whether it's relationship, whether it's through family, whether it's at a job, whether it's, things that you want to accomplish in life and you feel like, you haven't done it yet. So you constantly beating yourself up, you're constantly maybe longing for someone, if you're single, there are so many different things that, a person go through on an everyday single basis, traumatic events that they went through with their parents, with their family, whether they've been abused, there are so many different things that individuals go through that we experience. And because we never really talk about it, and because individuals never really know, and we never ask for help and we never receive help, sometimes, things happen the other way that they're not really supposed to, but I'm happy that I was able to open up that day, and of course sad that I wasn't able to, save my cousin, I mean, anything I think that I will give her, that I will be able to give her, if she was still here, if I would have known that she was suffering from anything, if I would have had any type of sign, I wish that I would have known so I could have tried to, save her, somehow. So that day, of course, I opened up and I shared my story, and towards the end of the day, I met so many wonderful individuals there. There are so many different programs that we have here in Douglas County, in Georgia, and other counties, nearby that can offer help when it comes down to mental health, anything that we might be going through, because it doesn't exactly matter what it is. We can attach any type of name to it, PTSD, I mean, anything that has to do with, this right here repeating itself, over and over and over again, it will freaking drive you nuts, whether, and especially a lot of times when, when it's a person, a lot of times, yes, we go through stuff, but when it's a person, you either see that person, you hear of that, it can be any single thing, it would affect us if we don't really receive help or if we don't really talk about it, So me opening up that day, to go back to that, it really allowed me to just kind of continue to say, you know what, it was like a breath of fresh air, because I've never really opened up and share my story and say that I've been suicidal, and to be so open up about it because, you see it now happening vividly, in TV, you hear about it, and those individuals that have lost their life that we have seen on TV, every single time, with their shows, everything, we never know, you never see any signs of them suffering from anything, and I mean, it's tragic and it's very sad for their families because, when we lose someone so close like that, they have really no idea what type of burden that they put, not financially, but just in our heart because, you know, it's just something that is very, very unforgettable. You will never forget, just the fact that, that you really could not help, but by me opening up that day, and I decided that, I am going to follow through to this journey, because, through everything that I have gone through, and I had to start working on myself. When I started joining certain businesses, I got exposed to books, I got exposed to meditation, I got exposed to, just being very spiritual in prayers. I got exposed to, try to, attend some type of church, try to attend some type of event and read something, anything that will basically start reprogramming my mindset to the thing that I was basically used to. Because, we were raised with those things, not just raised from being with your family, but raised with, if you've been in a marriage for a long time, you guys are raised in that family, to be a certain type of way. Whether, you don't share your business with everybody, whether you're very outspoken or you're not outspoken, you're private or you're not private, there are certain ways and certain principles and certain fundamentals of how you grow your family and how you groom your kids and how you groom your family. So then when you already are, your mindset has already adapted to that, and then you're trying to now, peel yourself off one layer at a time. It's kind of hard, but then still go through that process, because it will be worth it towards the end. And like I said, it's great, to have met these individuals at DC High School, to have met Mr. Lawrence, with his with the great marketing company and program that he has. And one thing is about him, when I met this gentleman, is that when he shared his story and everything that he does, not just doing marketing for certain, big companies out there, but just the fact that, him personally, he also experienced not mental health himself, but through his son, he was, he seeing the exact change in the things that, he started experiencing, and how he basically, sometimes we distance, ourselves a lot, and sometimes our families, they don't really understand the things that we do and why we do it, and we don't really feel like talking, but it is our part of our mental, but one thing that we have to really shift from, when it comes down to mental health and having a certain type of stigma attached to it, is that if our mindset is not right, then our body is not right. Our whole entire health is not right. So it's more of, yes, it's mental, because it has to do with our mindset, the constantly repetition of events or worse, and things that will basically drive us crazy or drive us to, kind of shut the noise up, for a long time. That's the mental part about it. And then of course the health part about it is that we either don't eat or we overeat. We find certain ways, to start coping, that of course will start affecting our health, and just being stressed, in general, over mental, over our mindset, our mental health, it all plays a part in our health. So that is mental health. Mental health is not that, oh, this person has issues or this person is this. No, it's our overall mindset. You're messing with my mind. That's what they're basically trying to say. Stop messing with my mind so I can have a great, good overall health. So I mean, if I can share, one basically thing that I've gotten out of, this journey that I started to really open up and share with the individuals about, um, finding help, seeking help, talking to someone. There are different programs. There's different numbers that you can call, come down to suicide. If you don't want to talk to anyone, you can always text. And you can find help. Just Google anything or ask Alexa. A lot of times they're talking to Alexa or other names that they call, these people on their iPhones. Ask them, hey, what can I do for this, or what can I do for that? Or just go to YouTube, Google April Owens, find April Owens on YouTube and just talk to me. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I will be uploading this into my YouTube channel. Anything that I can pretty much do to help anyone, to talk to anyone, I am available. My email is april26tni@yahoo.com, and I am also on Facebook, April Owens. Thank you so much, and have a great evening.